In this section of the course, we're going to move on and start to take a look at how we can import data and work with that data. And in this first lesson, we're simply going to take a look at some of the options we have when it comes to importing data from external sources. Now, you can see on the screen here, I've got a text file open. And this is just a notepad file. You can see it's called salesdata.txt. And this contains some data that you typically might find in maybe an external sales system, and maybe it's your job each week to get this data into Excel so that it can be manipulated and analyzed. So we're going to use this text file as our example. We want to import all of this information into an Excel spreadsheet. So let's close it down, and we're just going to start from a blank Excel workbook. Now, when it comes to importing data, there are a few different methods you can use, but if you already have Excel open, if you go to the Data tab, notice that you have a group called Get and Transform Data. And we have numerous different sources for our data. So it might be that you want to import data from the web, or maybe from a table or a range that exists in another Excel document. You can even import data from pictures. So if you have a picture of something, you can import from the picture. Now, if we click the drop down underneath Get Data, this is where we're going to find the full list of different import sources. So you can see here from File, we can import from an Excel workbook, from a text file, from XML, even from a PDF file. Now, we're importing from a text file. So I'm going to choose this option just here, from text CSV. And you can see in the screen tip, it says import data from a text, comma separated value or formatted text file. So that sounds like what we want. Let's click it. The next thing to do is simply navigate to where you've saved this file. Now, you'll find the sales data text file in the course files folder. So make sure that you have that downloaded and stored somewhere safe. So I'm going to select salesdata.txt and just simply click on the import button. Now, what that's going to do is effectively it's going to open up Power Query. And if you've used Power Query before, then you'll know that Power Query is a tool that we have within Excel that allows us to transform data, effectively tidy up and clean our data before we import it into Excel. Now, it's worth noting that you can use Excel's native functions to clean up data as well, which is what we're going to do for the first few lessons of this section. I'll then show you at the end how you can transform data using Power Query. So what you're actually seeing here is a representation of the data in that text file. And notice at the top here where we have delimiter, it says tab. So in my text file, each of the columns were effectively separated using a tab delimiter. And you can see that it's actually picked that up and it's split those columns up based on the position of that tab. And I'm getting a preview of the first 200 rows of my data set. Now, if you take a look at this data, you can see here we've got some rows with null values. That means that they're blank rows. I can see we have some inconsistencies in terms of case in the product column, and there's probably some other formatting things that I'm going to need to do to this data set. Now, at this stage, I could go to the bottom and click on Transform Data. That's going to open up Power Query and allow me to do things like remove blank rows or change the case or apply number formatting. Now, as I said, we're not going to use Power Query in the first few lessons of this course because I want to showcase to you some of the functions that you have for cleaning data. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to go down to the Load button and we're just going to say Load. And what that will do is it will just load that data into a spreadsheet and it will convert it into an Excel table. Notice at the top here we now have the table design ribbon and also a query ribbon as well. Because effectively when you import data, you're creating a connection to that data. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and change the table style to something a little bit nicer. Let's go for this dark green. And for the time being, I'm going to close down queries and connections. Now, obviously, we have some things that we need to tidy up in this data set to make it ready for analysis. And we're going to be covering that in the next few lessons. But when it comes to importing data in, it's really as simple as that. Just go to the Data tab and choose your import source from the Get and Transform Data group.
If you're not a subscriber, click down below to subscribe so you get notified about similar videos we upload. To see the full course that this video came from, click over there. And click over there to see more videos from Simon Says It.